All right, welcome back to the Department Podcast with Justin Valentovic, Stephen Clark, Joe Paolantonio, and Jesse Norman. And we are back to break down Week 11 of the NFL season. We are almost done. We got 6 weeks left. I'm back. I took off last week because I was a little tired after work and I needed a nap. So Steve filled in for me on that one, but that was a great podcast. Nonetheless, we're back after Survivor Series, which wasn't that great, but we had another week of football in the books, so we're here to break down everything because we're doing it finally after Monday Night Football. So, guys, what's going on?
Not much. Football's good. Life's pretty good. Can't complain, man. Doing
Thanksgiving
good.
this week, too. So,
my favorite.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, my favorite. Like I said in the earlier
What's your guys' favorite sides?
It's the stuffing.
I'm a big stuffing guy.
It's the stuffing.
Oh, everybody's stuffing? No, yeah. Justin's like cranberries.
No, mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes.
And mashed potatoes. It depends on who's making them.
I prefer yams.
Bob Evans
is good.
I prefer yams over mashed potatoes.
Yams? What are you? 50?
Oh, I'm not a yams guy.
Not a
Yeah,
yam
that's
guy.
incorrect.
All right,
that one's wrong.
What about dessert?
That one's wrong.
I'm a pie guy. I like pies.
Do we move on to dessert?
Usually,
pumpkin pie's good.
I'm a pretty big. My mom makes pretty good apple cobbler, and then we like top it with a little bit of ice cream.
Ooh,
That's usually my go-to. My mom also makes this pumpkin pie that can has cheesecake filling in it.
Yeah, no, we just buy everything from ShopRite, and we call it a day. So that's the Valentovic household.
There's just a cookie platter and a fruit platter, and it's just
fruit salad is so good.
I dabble in both.
Fruit salad. Never really had fruit salad too much to.
Oof, you gotta try it.
Judgment on that.
We do like fruit salad with bread, and then we have the main dinner, and then we have dessert. That's our go-to plan. That's the game plan.
Fruit salad, yummy, yummy. I believe.
You guys also eat dinner on Thanksgiving at 2:30.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Thankfully, we're not doing it with the other side of my family, because COVID. So thankfully, we actually get to eat later because they like to eat at 12:30, and it's just annoying.
That 12:30's lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't even pass that off.
That's breakfast for me.
It's halftime of the Lions game at this point, and then it's dinner. It's what? No, that's not how it works.
David Blau coming in hot while I'm having leftovers.
Oh boy! So let's get into Week 11 of the NFL season. We do it draft style. I wasn't here last week, so I have no idea what's going on. So we'll just start with myself, and at least in my book, it got my heart racing this week. The game of the week for me, because my team was on the correct side of the ball, and that is the Colts beating the Green Bay Packers 34-31. And my God, the Colts should not have won this game. They shot themselves in the foot about 15 different times on the last drive. That all they needed to do was get 2 first downs to ice the game. They'd get it, it'd get called back. They'd get it again, it'd get called back. And at one point, it was first and 30 and manageable.
30,
yeah. And right when, they gave the ball back to Aaron Rodgers with a minute and a half left and one timeout, no shot they were going to, stay in it. So it was a miracle they held him to a field goal. And it was even more of a bigger break because once Rodgers got the ball to start out, my gut just went, and there was no shot that they were going to win that game. But then a miracle happened, and they forced a fumble on Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who actually, caught the bomb to keep him in the game, and then he gave it up. But the Colts walked away with it, and that is a big win for the Indianapolis Colts.
It's a prime example of the Packers have one thing and one thing only on their entire play chart that works. It's just give it to Devontae Adams and see what happens. And they deviated from it. They deviated from it a little bit, and it bit them right in the tuchus. That's all they need to do. That's all they ever had to do to win. And poor Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he had a big play to get him there, final drive of regulation, but then really sad stuff. And on the flip side, young baby making Phillip Rivers just slinging it like old time's sake. That was his best game as a Colt. So congratulations, guys. Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But the Marquez Valdes-Scantling thing, I don't like that he's getting death threats on the internet. That is messed up.
That's too far. It's just a football game.
It's for one. Number one, it's a football game, like you just said. Number two, they wouldn't have been in that position in overtime if he didn't make that catch. He got them to that point in the
ridiculous catch.
Also,
exactly.
Do we also have to remind them? Look at their division. They're getting to the playoffs. It's not this win doesn't hurt them.
There's still 2 games. There's still 2 games up, and
this dogged them. I think out of the 1 seed.
Yeah, they're definitely not
probably
possible. Yeah,
we'll see what happens. We have to.
maybe the team should have played better. Don't just send death threats to the receiver who fumbled.
No, I mean,
maybe you guys should have
Aaron
been
Rodgers
overtime anytime.
I don't think did Aaron Rodgers. I forgot what Aaron Rodgers looked like second half of that game. They really just the Colts dominated the time of possession. Oh my! Like we're talking drives that are like Godfather 2 length. Like
whole Godfather trilogy at this point. But
I think there was some like Freaky Friday stuff going on between like Rivers and Rodgers too. Like something that went on before the game because Rivers played fantastic. And
going back to the Colts defense, they've held the Tennessee Titans last week, who was one of the most potent offenses in football up until that game, to a complete shutout in the second half. And then this week they held the Packers to a shutout in overtime and all but 3 points, basically.
Almost there, except for the 3 points at the end of regulation. Yeah.
The Colts defense, it's like, we've been, as we nicely called by Joe, suckfest of the Colts defense, but they beat two legitimate offenses and kept them in check and clamped them down in the second half and put their team in position to win. And like you said, Joe, time of possession, they won that battle drastically in the second half. And that's the only way to beat Aaron Rodgers, is make sure he doesn't have the ball.
Here's what I see. They could have made this game a win, and such a convincing win that they would be heralded right now as potentially a top 5 team in football. They did not do that. I saw a team that could win a home playoff game, and not much after that. It was still a sloppy performance. I think the defense does give up big plays here and there, and that could be a problem when facing a Mahomes or a Roethlisberger. Are the Colts the best team in the division? Probably. Maybe. It's still up in the air. So the Colts are going to get a reap of praise for this game, and I guess they should. But I mean, Reich's coaching is not where it was.
Some of the play call, before we wrap up and move on, some of the play calls were just bizarre and head scratching when all they had to do was just move the ball.
Correct.
Yeah. All the false starts, the holdings, the
false starts one thing, but the holdings, that's just ridiculous. Calling all those penalties, both sides of the ball. There is holding on every single play in football. You don't have to call every single one. A false start, offside, in a neutral zone infraction, encroachment, all that. Calling that is fine, but all the holding calls, it's just ruining the flow of the game.
Boy,
either side of the ball.
This would be a completely different segment if they lost because of those penalties. But with that, let's move things along. Let's switch things up. Usually we go the other way, but we're going reverse, and we're going to Joe Pal next.
All right. So it's every once in a while, like you get a lesser of two evil situation in life where, both options are really bad, but you have to pick one. That was Monday Night Football. Goff versus Brady. Oh, God, two of my favorite players in football.
Oh, yeah.
And we saw both quarterbacks in the fourth quarter play absolutely all. They both were so bad down the stretch. It's so funny, and I really enjoyed that. But, of course, the big guy, Jared Goff, threw about 78 times. They pulled out the win. Tom Brady in prime time. He's Kirk Cousins now. I mean, he's that's where he is at this point. It was insanely embarrassing. And Sean McVay as a coach, if I ever, which I probably have, wrote him off or said that he was, just a boy wonder, that's over. The guy's a genius. The guy looked Todd Bowles in the eye and said, nah, this is my turn. And he just dogged him. He just dogged right through that defense. I mean,
Brady looked old. He looked old. He looked like Drew Brees. Like, it wasn't a good showing for either team, honestly, but more the Buccaneers, of course, near the end because the game-sealing pick, and plus Brady just didn't play well. And Goff, like you said, threw like 70 passes, like you said, and they just relied on him, and he got the job done, though. So
the yards look good. A lot of yards after catch because another thing was that Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods.
God.
Talk about underrated. I mean, they had the yards after catch game of their lives out there. Just you cannot bring these guys down. I tell you, I don't know. Like I get the Rams were sloppy. But I think they're a slight upgrade at the quarterback position away. And even with Goff, they're right there in the NFC. Like I see potentially NFC Championship game, another Super Bowl for them. Like that, they look that good on defense.
Yeah, well, and that the Rams look fantastic on defense, and I think this shows you the way that pretty much everybody has beaten the Bucs, and that's just have a pass rush. Just have a pass rush. If you have a pass rush, you can beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can make it a game even. Brady looked uncomfortable the entire game, and we've seen even in New England when he was uncomfortable how much that affects. And he is nowhere near the quarterback he used to be.
Well, the old adage with Tom Brady was you hit him once or twice and he just, completely freaks out sometimes.
Basically.
Well, yeah, and it used to be also Brady was nimble enough that it didn't matter if the pressure was coming from the edges. It was always you didn't want it up the middle. Now it doesn't matter. He doesn't have that pocket movement where he can get around those edge defenders. Those edge defenders collapse on him and he can't go up. So he really doesn't have a choice anymore because his feet don't work the way that they used to. And he gets sacked and he gets hit and he gets knocked down a lot. And as soon as he does, it kind of checks out for him. He's uncomfortable the entire game. He can check out of an entire game just by being knocked around.
It's a similar scenario to Phil Rivers in Indianapolis, where once the pocket collapses, he's done. Like the play is effectively dead. And I'm not going to compare Winston to Brady, right? And I'm not saying like Winston would have been the better option.
It would be fair
right?
too.
But at this point in time, pedigree aside, you would probably be getting the same amount of productivity with either quarterback. And honestly, at that point with Winston, he can at least move and defend himself more than Tom Brady and extend the play, because once he gets under pressure, it's a dead play.
And we're talking about a guy with a 5,000-yard passing season last year, so it's very fair to bring that
30
up. And
touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
We were on this though. This pod was on it. We saw the writing on the wall with
3 weeks ago,
with two speedy receivers and a head coach that likes to air the ball out like there's no tomorrow. It just wasn't the best match. Brady trying to throw deep last night was literally what killed them. Like him trying to play in Bruce Arians' offense was the reason they lost.
And it also doesn't help that Brady's favorite thing is to check it down to a slot receiver or check it down to a running back, and he has two of the worst running backs with the catching ability of anything. Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones can't catch anything.
Brown. Yeah.
And back to the pressure thing, it feels like Brady started to check down almost immediately. He was only hit 5 times. He was only sacked once, but it just felt like he was terrified. Like the whole night, he felt like they were all over him. He would start to go into checkdowns almost immediately, or anytime he tried to go deep, it was a joke. Like you don't ask this guy to go deep anymore. And Bruce Arians still tries to at least 3 times a game.
Yeah,
and then he hits one of them, and then the commentators are like, look at this guy. 43 and still has all the arm power he used to. It's no.
Bruce Arians needs to coach more like Sean Payton. Sean Payton knows, when Breeze is healthy, he can't launch the ball like he used to, and he just checks it down and does a little slant route to Michael Thomas. That's what they need to do with Brady now. Just do quick little passes and down checkdowns. He's old.
Well, in that very game, Los Angeles on the road, heavy pass rush, Goff's obvious limitations, and what does McVay do? I mean, really, he gets the ball out of Goff's hands so quickly, and it was just chunk yardage after chunk yardage. And it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And that was Monday night No, was that Monday? Yeah.
Yep,
that was Monday night football. So with that, let's move things along to Jesse to put us in the Sunday window, potentially. We still have Thursday night football.
Oh, I was about to say, I'm going Thursday night.
All right.
Give me Thursday night. Seahawks Cardinals. I mean, let's talk about it. Jamal Adams was impactful. The Seahawks defense played pretty well.
Very well.
Played very well against, I would say, a top 10. I would say at the very least a top 10 offense in the NFL.
Potentially
you could argue top 5. You could say top 3 even.
Yeah.
With Kyler as the MVP candidate that we all think he is. So they showed up. They played very well. They put to bed a lot, for me anyway, they put to bed a lot of that well, who's the best team in the West? Is it the Cardinals? No, the Cardinals are not the best team in the West. It is now between the Seahawks and Rams. I think we have to bury that. Even if the Cardinals end up with a better record, I don't think we can say they're the better team. They were outmatched here. They were outcoached. They were outplayed, quite frankly. Russ showed finally that he was able to take care of the ball after the first two games.
I was going to say that, yeah.
The Seahawks are getting healthier. They did have a stint of injuries that they're getting back from. A lot of their guys are really coming into the mold and getting ready for this last stretch of the season that they are always so good in. They are always so good in December. They almost always win out in December. And they're really, I think, coming to a peak. And they're going to be a team that we have to talk about if they play like this as the best team in the NFC.
And isn't it amazing? They literally only added Carlos Dunlap, who was a castaway from Cincinnati. And that's their only form of pass rush. And it's just made their defense a hell of a lot better. And this is a guy who is old and washed at that point. And that's all they needed is literally any form of a pass rush. And it's taking the defense from, oh God, they're atrocious to, it's pretty good again.
Yeah, he literally made the game-winning play.
They had splashes of pass rush by committee, and then a lot of those guys started to go down with nagging injuries. And again, that's guys getting healthier as the season is going on. And again, if their defense can play like this, if they get some type of pass rush, if they can cover in the secondary like this and hold teams to hold really good offenses to under 30 points, they're going to win.
Yeah.
With Dunlop, I mean, obviously a difference maker. He was the difference between a win and a loss. On top of the fact that out of really left field, you want to talk about potential castaway, Carlos Hyde really emerged as a big part of the running game and the passing game, which is not what we expected. Look, Seattle's in a great spot right now. They really are in control of their own destiny. They have an easy schedule left, and they get a big scheduling break here. So after Thursday Night Football, they have another little mini bye. So from Thursday Night Football, they have off all the way until Monday Night Football against the Eagles. Even though they do have to go east for it, it's still the Eagles. So like this is really working out to be good for Seattle. It's tough to be too concerned. I mean, the Cardinals are still probably a year early. Expectations were, I mean, they probably arrived sooner than we expected them to. But I think that if you are a Cardinals fan, you can't be, miserable after this. I mean, this is exciting, but losing this game kind of was a big hit because now you're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs at this point, and you're going to have to play either like a Green Bay or Seattle or a Rams, and that's not a game you're very likely to win. I mean, the Cardinals, once Kyler Murray suffered the shoulder injury, whatever happened to him, I'm not sure what that actually was, but as soon as that happened, the momentum just flipped, and they were not able to regain anything on offense.
And they also kept him in check when he tried to run the ball. Only 5 rushes for 15 yards, so he was basically
they just abandoned it. They abandoned it. They completely abandoned it. They did. It's the same thing that the Ravens do. As soon as things start to go out of whack a little bit, they just completely abandon. One of the focal points of their offense is allowing their quarterback to use his legs. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, no. And with that, we're going to Clark, and we're in the Sunday slate of games that will be for the rest of the podcast. And Clark, take us away.
All right, we talked about one overtime game already with you, Justin, so we're going to go to another overtime game this week, which was the Tennessee Titans defeating the Baltimore Ravens in overtime, and Titans had it clicking on all cylinders during this game. They really did. Offense was going crazy, like usual. Derrick Henry, and another lackluster performance from Lamar Jackson. They're just proving that Lamar's almost a one-hit wonder in a way, that he's not going to be able to live up to the expectations that people were expecting, which we all kind of expected, which is whatever. But it just also, this game gives the Steelers even a bigger margin and almost locks up that division win for them. And the Titans, of course, seed. Yeah, literally locking up the 1 seed. And the Titans are keeping it close with the Colts too, so that's fun there. They play each other next Sunday.
Yeah, thanks, Baltimore.
Yeah, right. But another big news out of this game was that J.K. Dobbins has COVID and Mark Ingram has COVID, so they're out.
And almost everyone. There's
6.
9 people total.
9 now.
These things always come out after the game. Like,
yeah. 5 players.
Yeah, I'm just adding that as a little.
Like okay, NFL. Sure.
But yeah, Titans got it done in overtime, so good for them. But the Ravens, yikes, big yikes.
After the first quarter, if Lamar Jackson is down by a single point, he is 1-6. After the first quarter, he is 1-6. Those are most of his losses, by the way. It goes to show once they have a lead, they're very capable of keeping it. They don't lose
only
games
7
that
games.
they have leads in. Yes. Yeah, they're very capable once they have leads. It comes down to when they play good teams and they can't jump out to those big leads and just hold the ball and stall and play good defense and just go on these 8-minute drives that they can kick field goals at the end of because it doesn't matter because they're already, up 10. I think there's a formula to beat Baltimore. I don't think it's even that complex of a formula. Just punch them in the mouth first. It's very similar to the Packers. Punch them in the mouth first before they get themselves together. Don't let them get the ball and just run clock. And if you get touchdowns in the first half and don't just get field goals, you're setting yourself up very nicely against Baltimore. Baltimore's still a very good team. Top 5, top 4 team in the AFC. I don't think there could be a question now. They are not the best team in their division. They are clearly not on Pittsburgh's level.
No.
I don't think anybody can say otherwise. And their offense, as I've said for most of the year, it's almost like the Buffalo Bills level of gimmicky. It's fraudulent. It's not real. Like they have this power run scheme that they are able to run against bad teams, similar to the Cleveland Browns. Just run it down their throats, get these 8-yard gains, and then just continue to pound the ball. But then the second that doesn't work, they don't have any other pivot to go to. They don't know where they go after their power run situation is not working.
This is a weak team. The Ravens, last year, they showed a lot of grit and a lot of toughness. They don't really have that. This is a team that you punch them in the mouth and then that's it. They walk out of the fight. And we all knew that the Ravens, even last year, we knew that if the Ravens were down, they would probably lose that game. I mean, this has always been their Achilles heel. The problem now is that they're giving up leads. They're winning, they are leading in some of these games, and then they end up losing. And that's not a recipe for success. I mean, you can't take the Ravens seriously again until they have a statement win. And ever since, I don't know what came first, Seattle or New England last year, a game that they won. Ever since really then, it was they haven't really shown anything.
And really the only significant
nothing convincing this year.
And the only significant statement win left that they can pull off or would really, right the ship is on Thursday night in Thanksgiving against the Steelers if that game happens at this point. But that game's up in the air because of COVID right now.
Well, it's almost even then, is it that important of a game when Pittsburgh already has such a big lead in the division and the conference? If Pittsburgh loses that game, I don't know if it really changes the way I feel about anything. Pittsburgh can afford a week off.
They can, but it's a very big statement win for the Ravens, saying, hey, we're still a team that can go far in the playoffs, and we could beat the number 1 team in the AFC. Yes,
right now, the Ravens are not in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, they're behind the Raiders.
Yeah,
and
they
the
are
Browns.
They're out of the playoff picture right now.
Wow.
It's panic time a little bit.
That's also with an additional wild card team getting in as opposed to last year.
You're right.
So
Yeah, these are not like, it's not like the Ravens can afford to like bungle it around Los Angeles Clippers it and see what happens in the playoffs. Like, no.
They gotta get their rear in gear and move things along.
It's almost
And if you do get there, and whoever the 7th seed is in the AFC,
They have a date with Kansas City.
They have a game with either the first or the second best team in football.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I would also like to let it be known, coming into the season, Baltimore had the easiest schedule
Correct.
Yeah.
coming in.
Correct.
So can't forget that. They were I remember Colin Cowherd saying that they were going to go 16-0. Like there were people saying the lowest they were going was 12-4. And yeah. To be frank, the Ravens are not the same team they were last year.
Exactly.
I think that's the best way to put it.
It's as simple as that. They were figured out, and let's move things along.
We just have to say, Derrick Henry was fantastic.
Yes.
Can't go
yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Derrick Henry was fantastic.
Still a top running back. Good quarterback.
Tannehill's still really good at just doing what he needs to do.
A.J. Brown ran over like 5 Ravens defenders to get into the end zone and force overtime.
A.J. Brown is everything that they thought Corey Davis was supposed to be when they drafted him, but they still got their guy, so good for them.
Yep. And I want to move things along, shift gears a little bit, not really talk about the game, more so his significant storyline coming out of the game, and that is the absolute devastating news of Joe Burrow tearing his ACL, LCL or MCL, one of the other
all MCLs,
and having structural damage to his knee. An absolute devastating, gruesome, awful, whatever you want to call it, injury to Joe Burrow. And I know, early on in the podcast, I was, ragging on him, he proved me wrong. And it's sad because we talked about it, they don't get any protection. He's going to get killed. They have him drop back however many times he's going to get killed. And we all had that thought in the back of our minds, like he's one bad hit away from something catastrophic. And this is as bad as it could ever get. And this needs to be a wake-up call to the Bengals. Get the guy some fucking protection, because it's going to be a story of this time in and time again at this point. It's going to be Andrew Luck-esque.
Exactly. Andrew Luck-esque. That's the exact words right there. Because he's a great talent coming out of college, which Andrew Luck was as well. And all the potential to be a top 5 quarterback eventually in the league. And then no protection. And it wasn't even like it was a bad hit he took. It was kind of a freak injury. Someone got rolled into his leg, but it was bound to happen just because they got pushed back. And the line sucks. The line just sucks in general. And it pisses me off that this has to happen to him because he's so good. And obviously this is going to take him out of the running for Rookie of the Year. Just give Herbert the trophy now. But that's besides the point. But it's just sad. I'd be pissed if I was Burrow, if anything. I wouldn't even be upset about the injury. I'd just be pissed.
And it's also with significant injuries that he has, you hope he's even ready for opening day next year.
I don't think wouldn't even next year. I wouldn't play if I was him next year. I wouldn't.
It's absolutely you're absolutely right.
Draft the tackle from Oregon, Seawald this year. Get some free agents. I would sit out again next year. Let them be bad again. Get another top 5 tackle or guard. Probably draft. Sign some other free agents, and then have Burrow ready to come back in, the
2022.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And it's like athlete though. It's gonna be tough for him to come back, even if he wants to next
But it's
year.
also just the mental aspect of it. It's like, because he's, not a scrambler, but he can move and run away and extend the play. It's like, are we going to see him now almost convert himself into a pure pocket passer because he doesn't want to take another shot to his leg? I know this play, he was kind of standing in the pocket. And like you said, Clark, it was just a freak thing. He collapsed and rolled in on him. But it's like that could take his legs out completely from further on in his career because to protect himself.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
No, it's a terrible injury. And especially for, this was setting up to be a Rookie of the Year duel down the stretch between Herbert and Burrow. I personally thought, when Burrow went down, it was Herbert, but there was definitely a chance for Burrow to catch up on him. And now, sadly, we won't be able to see what he would have done down the stretch. And, the thing that is the worst part about it is we have all talked about how terrible the line is and how bad the line is and how bad of a job they did putting a line around him. and they threw it the most out of any team in the NFL. They called the most passing plays per game. They were quite literally asking for this to happen. It's a shame. Cincinnati is a terrible franchise and organization.
Yeah, they are the poverty franchise of the NFL by far.
On
And
the
of
other,
course,
oh, go ahead, Joe.
yeah, it had to happen against the Washington football team, who's notorious for these sort of things. The NFC East contenders, Washington football team, led by, you want to talk about great rookies, Antonio Gibson, touchdown in 4 straight games. Guy's a monster. Ron Rivera knows what he's doing. This guy is the next Christian McCaffrey. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it while watching it.
And real quick on this game before we move along and wrap up this part, Joe Burrow was second in attempts in the league, only behind Tom Brady at 400. Brady had 433 attempts. Burrow had 404. The next person, Matt Ryan, was only at 388. He had 26 more dropbacks than Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Insane.
They were asking him to drop back pretty much every single snap.
Play.
Yeah, but like you said, Joe, the football team's now contending in that division.
Yeah,
so
and
Joe, it's literally a coin toss.
Real quick, pick one last game. Make it quick because we only got about 5 minutes left on this Zoom session before we take a break.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm gonna pick the game that I want to pick, and
okay.
I'll make it really quick.
Monologue about
Kansas
it.
City Chiefs, Los Angeles Raiders. Quick. You want to talk about Las Vegas Raiders? You want to talk about quick? I'm thinking about a car that low key is better this year than when he was this
Hyundai Elantra,
hot MVP candidate. Yep.
Right now he's not. Derek Carr's not going to win the MVP, but the Raiders, who took the Chiefs, the best team in football, down to the wire after beating them the first time, sitting at such a convincing 6-4, look outstanding. And on the opposite side, we are so spoiled. Mahomes is playing at somehow an even better level. I think his clutch gene has even raised up higher than it was in his 50 touchdown year. The Chiefs are not beatable. I don't think. I just don't know how it's going to happen. They're so good. They're so good, but take the Raiders seriously at home.
Yeah, Mahomes will be, when he's all done, the greatest football player to ever play this game. When he's all said and done, once he has 2 hands full of rings and all that stuff, he just makes it look so easy. It's insane. Like, people struggle to do a 2-minute drill. He does it in 30 seconds. He drives down the field. It's insane how good he is and how easy he makes this sport look when it's not an easy sport to play. But the Chiefs just have it clicking on all cylinders. Like you said, Joe, I know the Raiders beat them already earlier in the season and they kept it close here, but I just don't see anyone in the playoffs beating the Chiefs. Like, I don't.
If we get an AFC championship game of Pittsburgh and Kansas City, that would be game of the year potential.
Don't say it too much, because last year it was Ravens Chiefs that we talked about.
And it was a disaster. And it was a disaster.
Yeah.
So I don't want that to happen again. I want to see it. So I don't want to speak it out of existence.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the Raiders are a legit team. I've been on this since the beginning of the year. Once they use all those draft picks that they've been accumulating, and once they hit on those draft picks, which it seems like they hit on every draft pick, they're set up. And we've said a lot of times that maybe Derek Carr isn't the quarterback of the future, but at this point, the way he's playing, I think he kind of has to be. He's playing with confidence again that, like Joe said, we haven't seen since the MVP, candidacy year before.
Colts snapped his leg.
His elbow.
Colts snapped his leg. On Christmas Eve.
So I think this is where we can see, maybe Derek Carr feeling the healthiest that he's felt in a long time. And the Raiders are a legit team, and they're just going to get better every offseason, it seems like.
Well, the Raiders had one objective with this Gruden teardown, which was to build their team in a way to beat the Chiefs, and they are pretty damn close to doing so at this rate, and they're almost there. And with that, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll break down the last 8 games of Week 11, and then we'll look at the Thanksgiving games a little bit. But stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we're back for the second half of the Week 11 NFL recap here on the Department Podcast with Justin Valentovic, Joe Paolantonio, Jesse Norman, and Stephen Clark. And we left off with Joe Pal picking the Chiefs and Raiders on Sunday Night Football, and we are moving things along to Jesse Norman. We got 8 games left, so let's just try to get through these, which we will. We've never had to have been pressed for time too much. But if we have time left over, we'll get into the Thursday Thanksgiving games.
Yeah, I think I have an answer to one of my questions of, are the Lions a good team or a bad team? They're a bad team. Panthers shut them out. You guys know the vaunted Panthers defense that's
with
just
Thomas Davis.
So,
Luke no. Charles Johnson. No, he's not there either. Norman's not there either.
Norman's right here. What are you talking about?
Sam Mills.
The absolute lockdown defense of the Carolina Panthers, who has just been a menace all year. Just put the clamps down on the fantastic
Derek Brown,
Detroit Lions,
and not
and
Cam
PJ
Newton.
Walker.
Yeah, not Cam Newton, not Teddy Bridgewater.
Not Teddy Bridgewater. PJ Walker started. And I'm gonna say it on here too, like I said in the group chat. The Pittsburgh Steelers would be a better team with PJ Walker as the starting quarterback as opposed to Ben Roethlisberger.
How can it be better?
I said it.
Know. But whatever.
Yeah. The offense would run smoother. I'm telling you.
No, you're right.
The bad decision making that PJ Walker made, reminiscent of Ben Roethlisberger. I'll just think back to the days of Big Ben easily, and I mean you can still watch it.
The Lions, who've basically every single player and a coach who's been in coaching in the NFL for years, lost to a guy who's in the XFL. Not throwing shit at the XFL, the MVP, but
MVP of the XFL.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to really put this game in perspective for a second.
Okay.
So the Panthers lost 5 games in a row before this game. The Panthers were playing without Teddy Bridgewater, but not just without Teddy Bridgewater. They also didn't have Christian McCaffrey. They were a bare bones team using a quarterback who was in the XFL and Mike Davis, and pitched a shutout
with no one on defense. With no one on defense.
With no big when their best linebacker retired like 4 months ago. Like this, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. For the Panthers, the Matt Rule era has been something
productive.
It's been fun.
It's promising.
And Bridgewater, maybe McCaffrey are coming back, so expect good games from them.
You need McCaffrey back.
I mean, I think it looks like I have all but solidified a top 4 seed.
You got a
as long as things don't go horribly.
There's like 7 of us that can get that top 4 seed.
It's
horribly packed.
Going horribly wrong for Joe would be me beating him in fantasy this week.
Well, I did the math. I ran the numbers, and it seems like the lowest I can be is a 4 seed.
Oh, that's not. So you've earned a bye.
I was thinking about resting my starters this week. We'll see.
So back to your point, though.
No, but it's embarrassing. It's pretty embarrassing for the Lions. If there was ever calls for Matt Patricia's job, they should be louder.
This needs to be the final nail in the coffin. This has to be it.
It's a team with talent. It's a team with talent. It's a team with potential. It's a team that possibly another guy walks into that room and things could happen. But
they're a joke. Lions are a joke. Whatever. Honestly, like you said, Jesse, we finally found out that they are a bad team, and it didn't help that. I don't know. I really don't know.
This was just a disaster. Like Adam Gase needs to be long gone, right? But Patricia can't be that far behind. Like he's got to go. There's nothing more we can say about this game is that PJ Walker looked good. He might find a starting gig somewhere else if they don't keep him there as like the permanent backup. But Matt Patricia, not a head coach, buddy. And this just proves it because at this point it's just motivation and game planning now. And clearly it didn't have either for the Lions. They didn't have either.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, they got shut out. I don't know what else there is to say about the Lions. They got shut out.
And we haven't seen like that many shutouts this season in general, like that I can think of.
Have we?
Not with how many bad defenses there are.
Has this been was this the first shutout of like the whole year? I don't know.
The Jets had to have gotten shut out at some point.
I don't know. I'll look that up. But Clark, we're gonna go to you in the old draft here.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay.
Yeah, it's your turn.
All right, give me the Saints and the Falcons. We got Mr. Taysom Hill getting a start, looking all nice, running around, doing his thing all over the field. And I don't even really want to talk about the Saints offense too much, even though it was clicking on all cylinders. But the Saints have a really good defense too. Okay, I feel like we talk about the Steelers and the Colts defense a lot, which deservedly so we should. And the Falcons shouldn't be too much to ride home about talking about them. But the Saints shut down the Falcons for the most part, forcing a lot of punts, forcing a couple interceptions. They really locked them down, and it was fun to see. And Taysom Hill can do it all too. He can throw the ball, he can run the ball. He's as fast, I feel like, as Lamar, looking like running around that field. Michael Thomas finally made a presence back up for the Saints too, so that helps when you have your best receiver, one of the top receivers in the league, back. And they basically just shut down the Falcons, which are not a good team, but at the backup for the Saints, who got the job done. So good for them.
Yeah, good game for the Saints. Also, the Jets were shut out this year by the Dolphins. So
okay,
shut out.
All right, good. Because I was only on week 3, so you saved me a lot of work.
No. Yeah,
did you just go to the Jet schedule?
I just went to the Jet schedule.
That was a lot quicker.
Pretty positive.
I was going drop down after drop down after drop down, so you saved me a lot of time. Thank you.
Yeah. The Saints defense was good. To be fair, the Falcons offense has not been good this year. As a Matt Ryan fantasy owner in a different fantasy league, I can tell you right now, very disappointing.
Yeah.
Not a great year for the Falcons offense. They get a lot of garbage time touchdowns usually, or, they get out ahead really early and then blow the leads. It's been like a tale of, 2 halves for their season. But good for the Saints. Taysom Hill looked very competent. Besides a couple missed throws here and there. He missed Emmanuel Sanders bad. He couldn't get the ball there. But no, I mean, he proved Sean Payton right. People said you have to start Jameis. How are you not starting Jameis? Why would you not start Jameis? They won the game. They won the game handily. They dominated the game.
What this does for me
until they prove that Taysom Hill isn't a quarterback, why not play him?
That's the thing. This is what it does for me. If Breeze does retire, right, and they have no interest in re-signing Jameis, this proves that Taysom Hill can at least be a bridge quarterback. Like, he can handle himself as an NFL quarterback. Like, it's okay. Like, he's not going to be the long-term answer at all because he's also 30. So, like, how much are you going to get actually out of him? And also with the wear and tear from the place he has run, right? But at least this gives you some semblance of reassurance. Like, it's okay. Like, they have options after Drew Brees right now.
Well, I will say this on this game, and then we'll talk long term. This was probably the most unfair thing you could have done to an interim head coach is put in when they announced Taysom Hill. That was probably the biggest question mark. If you're preparing for that, you legitimately in a million years would have nothing to prepare with. I mean, the guys.
There's no tape.
Barely thrown the football. There's no tape in college. There's no tape in the pros. You can criticize the decision, not criticize. You gotta go.
Literally flying blind.
Interim head coach.
Literally flying blind.
It was so disrespectful.
It is.
It was fun though. I don't think it's sustainable. I mean, in the post Drew Brees era, it would be a mistake to go with Hill over Winston long term. I think this could win you regular season games. I think that if you go up against a real team, or if you go in a 16-game schedule with Taysom Hill at quarterback, you're going to get puppied. But that's just what maybe he takes steps. I don't know.
Who knows? But let's shift gears a little bit and let's just knock out Jesse's team real quick. Pittsburgh 10-0, beat the Jaguars. Whoop-de-doo, 27-3. Like, this didn't expect anything less. But what's up, Clark? Because you sound like you have a point.
No, Jaguars kept it close with the Packers the other week. And then the Steelers just put them right back down in their place where they belong.
Slapped them right back to reality.
Yep.
Boy, they must really be regretting that the win against the Colts week 1, because they'd be right neck and neck for Trevor Lawrence.
For Lawrence, point. Yeah. So good for us for preventing Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, honestly, that would have been the. Didn't you have like that tinfoil theory, Clark, that like the Colts intentionally lost week 1 to make sure that they didn't get? Yeah.
Make sure the Jags didn't get Trevor Lawrence. But that's just a BS theory I came up with. That's obviously not true. But hey,
happens.
Steelers undefeated.
Steelers
10-10.
defense played great again. They got I think Terrell Edmonds got 2 interceptions.
Yes,
so good for him because he's routinely been the worst player on the defense. So I mean, good there. The offense did enough. I feel better about James Conner every week. He just makes these explosive run plays here and there that just work. And the offense is fantastic. I mean, Chase Claypool, the first receiver pretty much in modern NFL history to have 10 touchdowns in his first 10 games.
Yeah.
What
an
else is there to
absolute beast.
say? He's a
And
monster.
You're gonna need him. You're gonna need him because Juju Smith-Schuster stepped on the penalty flag and
if
hurt his toe.
the Offensive Rookie of the Year award wasn't similar to the MVP award, where it's just the best quarterback award type of thing, you could make a case that Claypool's Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I think Claypool
for Justin Jefferson too.
Yeah, I think Claypool and Justin Jefferson are 2A, 2B, but it's clear right now Herbert is far and away number 1, I think.
No, I agree.
Oh man,
cool.
This
Not really much else.
For an undefeated team, the Steelers really aren't talked about that much, and I guess kind of get why. We're so used to Ben doing it. Like we've seen Tomlin for years. Like they didn't really come out of nowhere, but yeah, I mean this game is just really so relevant. Like in the long term, it's like the Steelers got it locked up. The Jags are looking at the number 2 pick right in the barrel. I mean, does this have that much of an impact on anything?
Nope.
Yeah, no, not
Just
really.
Another win.
Yep, and with that, just another game to talk about, and we're back to Joseph.
All right. So I mean, the quality of game has decreased
significantly.
Immensely.
We
here.
are in the I don't
We're
care
in the
anymore.
witching hour.
Yeah.
The witching hour.
So I'm gonna go with a game that I really kept my eyes on, and go with Cleveland, Philadelphia.
Yeah, it was
which a game played in disastrous conditions. But
This is the second week in a row that they've played in like a hurricane
Mm-hmm.
for the Browns.
Yeah, and this was looking like another like 9-3 game after the first half. So it actually ended up high scoring for what it was looking like. I mean, it's nice to see Olivier Vernon, actually contribute to the Giants finally, and maybe get them to a division. Carson Wentz threw a pick 6, and that was it. I mean, the Eagles are about to not. They're about to not win the division.
No,
I think the worst case scenario for them is to win the division because they just keep everything the same. They'd be like, well, we made the playoffs, so nothing has to change.
Dallas probably is the only team that won't really get that hurt from winning the division because it hurts the football team, it hurts the Giants, and I mean, I think the Eagles need to make some changes. Is Jalen Hurts really that much worse?
He can't be, right? He can't be.
This is the thing. If they bench Carson, they can't go back to him.
No.
And
they're
also
ends
tied. They can't end his tenure. They just extended him. They can't trade him next year. If they trade him, are you guys aware of how much dead cap they would have?
Watch this be the full
$60 million on $180 million cap.
Eesh.
They literally can't trade him. They can't.
Watch this of all years be the year he plays a full season.
It will be.
Stop.
And you see now what happens when he plays a full season. No more injury BS excuses.
All right.
This dude sucks.
All right. So you're saying that 3 years ago, if he played a full season, it would have been that. Like he obviously is mentally and physically broken. Like he's mentally broken.
Yes.
He's physically broken.
I'm not going to say that establish that now. Like pre-injury Wentz
was
and
elite.
Post-injury Wentz
Yes.
are different quarterbacks. We don't need we don't need to talk about them like they're the same person anymore.
It's
Before
not.
Wentz tore his ACL, he was an
squad
MVP.
But
He carried a practice squad last year to the playoffs. I mean, it did happen. This year, he's not the same.
no.
Okay, let's not act like it was a terrible team. Yeah, they had bad receivers. They had a top 5 line. They had a good running back room and a solid defense.
This dude.
Yeah, they
It was
didn't have
Boston's
receivers.
squad. It It wasn't like they were like running out. Like
They had Jordan Howard last year.
Jordan Howard was injured.
You brought him back.
Jordan Howard was hurt. He was still playing. They also had Boston Scott, Corey Clement, who was a great player in the Super Bowl and the whole year for them. They didn't have like this terrible team. Also, Miles Sanders. They were good. They were a good team. They had bad receivers. That's fine. But we can't just act like they weren't the Bengals. Like, they weren't that level of bad. They had really bad receivers. But no, at this point,
they need to do something. They just got. It's the coaching staff at this point. You know, Doug Peterson won his Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl for the first one in Philadelphia's history, basically. But it looks bad, and it's just gone severely downhill. Like, it has had no upside since that Super Bowl. For God's sakes, they put a monument to him and Nick Foles up outside the stadium for the Philly special. Talk about the mental damage on Carson Wentz that he's supposed to go in and play quarterback when a guy who's only there because he got hurt, that's a constant reminder of it, has a statue to him already.
That should be motivation, if anything.
There's also this thing, too, before this game started. If you were reading anything out of Philly, Doug Peterson said he was taking an interest in Wentz this week, had worked with Wentz for majority of the week, and was calling the plays and everything, and was supposed to be in charge of the game plan fully. So this was supposed to be the week that the offense, got back on track and really started to get better, especially against a Browns team that, has been good, but I'm pretty sure Garrett was out the whole game. So they were missing who was, in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. And their offense looked worse than ever. And Wentz's decision-making it's god awful. It's so bad. The pick six to Tiki, I think his name was, or Tiki. It was something like that. Taki, that's what it was.
Aren't those like chips, Takis?
Takis. Yes, they are. The pick six, for one, that ball should have never been thrown on the check down. There was no possible way that he was open. Two, Jalen Reagor was open down the field. Open. Nobody on him. Could have probably broke it for a touchdown considering how fast he is. It's like when we played mud squads. Exactly.
Yep, exactly.
So, and then, not just going on Wentz here, the play calling was abysmal. They didn't know if they wanted to run 3 straight downs or pass 3 straight downs. They never seemed to know what they wanted to do. The defense played good considering the conditions that they were playing under.
Yeah.
The Eagles are still probably going to win the East. But God, they're a bad team.
Whoever wins Thursday between the Washington football team and the Cowboys, they will have a lead briefly in the East. So, oh my God. And with that, let's move things along. Who picked this game? I don't remember. Was it Jesse?
Joe.
Joe? Oh.
Yeah, I did.
So we're at Jesse now.
All right.
Home stretch, last 4.
I don't care about any of these games.
There's a team you like to make fun of, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams I can make fun of.
All the teams to make fun of won. All the teams he usually makes fun of won.
No, Falcons didn't.
Not the
Falcons didn't. Falcons lost.
I'm talking about the last 4.
I mean, all right, let's go Cowboys Vikings, I guess.
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? I mean, this was the first game I think Zeke has looked good. That's kind of my takeaway is Zeke actually looked good this week. And the Cowboys won. Good for them. Thielen had a day. Thielen was fantastic. Jefferson was fantastic.
Imagine if they had an actual quarterback for Minnesota.
He didn't have bad either, Kirk Cousins.
I mean, he got the ball to them.
They didn't turn the ball over. So.
Yeah, I mean, when Dallas puts up over 30 points with their backup,
and Dallas had a quarterback too. Finally, Dallas had Dalton. Finally, they didn't have Ben DiNucci.
It's Ben DiNucci's birthday today as we're recording it.
Happy birthday, Ben!
On
DiNucci.
Tuesday.
Nice. Me and Andy Dalton share a birthday, so
really?
It's good to see him succeed. It's really good to see him.
Me and Ozzy Osbourne share a birthday.
Okay.
Good to see him succeed.
Good to see him succeed all these years. But
the
no.
Vikings needed to win. The Vikings had to win if they want to make the playoffs. That's still sad.
This kills their
Yes, they
season.
did.
For them. Yeah, I mean, I guess the Cowboys
Just
have
played
some
spoiler, but they also can still win the East. So
They could still
good job.
I think they could win the East. They could still win the East.
They could still win the East. Definitely.
Everyone can. Are we officially at the point where 5 wins the East? Like, it was a joke.
I think
for a while.
5 to 6. I think if the Eagles win 5 with the one tie on the resume, I think they could get it.
Oh my
5
I don't
and
think
10
the
and
football
1.
team is gonna, I don't think the football team has a shot. I'm just gonna say that.
I think so. I do. I think Alex Smith is still pretty good. I do. I think he could carry them.
Not Alex.
It would have to be. It would have to be Antonio Gibson carrying them.
True.
Literally.
And the Giants have a shot too.
Giants have a shot too with that defense. No, this is the thing about the East though. The Giants and the Washington football team both look like they're like competent quarterbacks away from like being back on track. Like the Giants have somewhat of a defense. They have some playmakers. You know, Saquon's out with injury. Washington, same thing. They have playmakers. They're
McLaurin, Gibson. Yeah, like they have pieces. It's just
so once they get a quarterback, they're both also, you know, pretty well coached, I would say. The Eagles are trending the opposite way. They're falling, you know, the sky's falling in
they're free
Philadelphia.
falling.
And then Dallas is just like, whatever, free year pretty much because Dak's out. So yeah, it's certainly
painful.
Interesting.
It certainly is painful. But with that, let's just get through these games. Clark, you're up.
Golly. Give me Denver and Miami. Biggest story here. Tua got benched because he was not doing too well at all against a really bad Denver defense. So Fitzmagic came back, and Fitzmagic didn't do too hot either, but you didn't expect it to play.
He did better.
He did do better. He did do better, but still nothing special there. Drew locked. So nothing there.
Yeah.
It was just average this game. It really wasn't. Like, it wasn't anything to write home about at all, except for that Tim Patrick had a lot of yards. I see that.
You got to think, too, maybe the benching was because Tua did have a little bit of an ankle injury, so they just got him out of there, too.
Yeah, you got to protect him.
And the line was falling apart around him.
I think
he
it was
under pressure the whole time.
I think it was just a protection move, but they could also cover it with being down 10.
After you see Joe Burrow go through that a couple hours before.
Yeah, you're getting the hell out of there.
But should you be that cautious when you can win the division easily, almost? Like,
yeah.
Like,
they weren't going to win that game.
I don't
think they were going to win that game.
Worry more about your future anyway.
Okay.
Regardless of anything, even if you're in a playoff game, I think if you are risking your future quarterback, unless it's maybe a Super Bowl, I guess.
And like just the way Brian Flores has handled like transitioning from Fitz to Tua, I trust him with handling a young quarterback at this point. So it's okay. Okay.
And this game showed too, when the Miami defense doesn't score touchdowns or whatever, doesn't do what it usually does, they're not the best. They're a good team, but they're not this team that's phenomenal. So what are you gonna do?
Yep.
It's not good. But Justin Simmons is a dog.
He's still so good.
Justin Simmons is such a good safety, and somebody should trade for him.
He's
honestly.
tagged, so he can get out of there soon.
I don't think Elway is going to let him walk. Which, by the way, I think is a mistake because
Denver let Elway walk.
Denver is not like going to be competitive in the next like 3 to 4 years. So why give a lot of money to Justin Simmons anyway? He is the only way I extend him is to trade him. I think a team should go out and get him. He is really, really good. He is like what I feel like Minkah Fitzpatrick was in Miami. And if you just take him and put him somewhere else,
unlocks his full potential, then
he can unlock his full potential and probably spearhead a top 5 defensive unit.
Yeah. And with that, we got 2 games left. My pick, last one of the show. Give me Texans and Patriots. The Texans, they finally beat the Patriots, but about 4 years too short. And here we are. Yay. Nothing. Watson looked really good.
Monster.
Cook, him and Cook.
Can't do that again next week. Can't have that.
They looked good. They look like they're getting some chemistry. Obviously, no DeAndre Hopkins, but, you know, they're looking good together, and Patriots just slowly just start to decay away.
Yeah, I think Burkhead got hurt too during
He
this
tore his
game.
ACL.
So that's a blow because they've been using him week to week a lot. So that
Yeah.
sucks for them. Yeah, these two teams are very
Yeah,
Texans
it's
won.
it's a nothing game.
The Patriots,
Playoff
I don't
matchup.
think were as bad as like people think in this game. They kept it close. They kept it competitive.
Yeah, they did.
And I mean, if anybody watched the game, it was very evident Houston by far had the best player
on the field.
On the field, period.
On both sides of the ball.
There was a stat I seen, and it was like, no, Deshaun Watson is the first player to ever account for 95% of a team's total yards and still win the football game. Out of their like 400 total yards, Deshaun Watson was responsible for 380.
Wow.
That's like Lamar Jackson in the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh boy. And finally, let's move things along to Joseph. Last pick of the game of the pod. Who do we have for the irrelevant game of the week?
Well, I mean, for Mr. Relevant, there's really one thing and one thing only you can watch this game and say. And it's that Justin Herbert, give him the keys to the franchise, sit back and enjoy. That's it. That's the only takeaway. And that should be the only takeaway because other than that, this game was for two teams that have a lot of work to do. That's it.
Can you imagine being an Oregon Duck fan and just seeing a Hall of Fame potential caliber quarterback just slinging it downfield, and all they did was dives, options, and like screen passes with him?
Yep, just made him
Freaks
get
need
the
to be
ball
pumped
out
on that.
5 yards and under.
So stupid.
We'll pump the brakes on unveiling his plaque for the current moment.
Well, I'm just saying
he's the
good.
6'6" blonde hair guy who could run. I mean, the Jets better start taking notes on what that's like to have.
Yeah,
because they're about to have the same guy coming in.
Jets kept it close at least. That was fun. They had a good second half. The
only thing Joe Flacco has left in his NFL career is that he can somewhat throw deep still, and that's it.
Well,
they're eliminated from the playoffs officially.
Yeah, they're the only team.
Oh, now it's official.
It is.
Now it's official, but everyone knew
official. It's official. Yeah, cool. Jets. Yeah, football.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And with that, that's our recap of week 11. And real quick, let's just go through the 3 Thanksgiving games because that's this week. And by the time this podcast goes up, it's tomorrow. And we will start with, my computer's freezing. The Lions, they're playing the Houston Texans. Oh boy. Yay.
I guess we got to go with the Texans for this one.
I'm going Texans.
Yeah, I
We
gotta
saw
go
how
to Houston.
bad the Lions are last week getting shut out. I don't think it's like Matt Stafford's not Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady that he can have a comeback statement game like that. He's good, Stafford, but he's not that good. So Houston for me.
It's two teams, 2 different directions. Houston's looked good. And I mean, the other team hasn't. That's it. And also Detroit's been, from what I remember, terrible on Thanksgiving. I know they play every year, but I don't remember them ever actually winning.
Remember them winning.
So Houston.
Yeah.
And we move things down to Jerry World. Dallas Cowboys taking on the Washington football team. Oh, we've seen this matchup in like recent years? Wasn't it like?
I mean, they play each other twice a year.
No, I know, but I'm saying like on Thanksgiving. What was the year when Mark Sanchez started against the Cowboys? Was he with the Eagles or the football team at that point?
He was with the football team, I think.
Wasn't it like him
2
versus
years
Brandon
ago.
Whedon? Like, wasn't that the matchup? I think that was the matchup.
I don't remember. I literally don't remember. But I'm good. I don't know who I'm going to take here.
Give me Washington.
I think Dallas is going to play like a team inspired. They have the division in their sights now. They have a reason to play. I think they're going to win.
I'm going to take Washington. I just like Alex Smith too much.
Yeah, give me Washington. Even before Dalton got hurt last time, they were destroying them 24-0. They were shutting them out. I don't know. Though both teams are interesting in the way that they're bad, but can still get into the playoffs. So you're kind of highlighting the things that they do good. And overall, I feel like Washington might just be a little bit better of a football team.
Then the football. They're
Well, they are the football team.
They are the football team.
Well,
And
they should be.
finally, if the game happens, because it's up in the air right now as of the time we're recording this with COVID-19, Baltimore versus Pittsburgh.
Well,
I think
let's see who's playing for Baltimore. I guess first two is a thing.
I don't think that doesn't make a difference in my prediction.
No, I agree. I just don't think. I don't know. If there's 10 players out, it's not going to be close.
That doesn't matter.
There has been a weird trend that teams that are COVID stricken end up playing better.
That is true.
I don't know if it's just a sheer coincidence, but it's been the trend. I still don't think the Ravens are going to win. I think it's going to be close. I think Ben is going to have a day though, and that's about the size of it. We'll see if Mike Tomlin puts a toe on the field for old time's sake.
I'm going with Pittsburgh too for now. I think they do keep it close, like you said though, Joe. I think they really do, just because it is a divisional game. It's a big game for Baltimore to try to get back on track. So, but I'll stick with Pittsburgh definitely.
Yeah, me too. Pittsburgh all the way. They go to 11-0, and with that, that's the end of the Week 11 recap. Clark, the old outro.
Okay, thank you guys for listening so much to this episode of the Department Podcast. We do appreciate you guys listening. We did good with views too.
Yeah, numbers.
You texted me that earlier.
Positively, surprisingly.
Yeah, numbers.
Make sure you
have
subscribe then, please.
Yeah. Like Justin just said, subscribe YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify. We're trying to get 100 subscribers by the end of the year. That'd be kind of cool if we can do that in a month and a couple days. I don't think we'll be able to, but
you gotta do
if
the
you
worm.
guys, thank God I don't have to do that. But thank you guys though for listening again. Follow us on our social medias on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at @department_pod. We're gonna have NFL predictions coming up later in the week, probably posted after Thanksgiving sometime. We'll have a wrestling recap. We'll have a Week 12 review. We'll maybe do something with baseball or basketball. We don't really know yet because there's not much news going on that we already didn't cover. But stay tuned to all that fun stuff I just said, and we'll see you in the next episode.